I was looking for a document. I think I'll find it. You see, the NDC's conversation on this subject is welcome, and I think that ordinarily we should engage to see that public institutions are being very prudent in terms of their utilization of whatever power we've given them and the resources that is available for them to spend on those ventures. But we who are in the space to engage the subject matter must also be circumspect. And on the particular issue, and I think you're letting us focus on the headquarters building alone. That's really what you're having us do. It's a subject matter that I think that the NDC must be very much aware, most particularly the former Deputy Minister for Finance,
Ato Forson.
Ato Forson, because he was a member of the board when the Bank of Ghana board, at the point when they were in government. And this conversation about building a new headquarters for the Bank of Ghana didn't start today. It's a conversation that started way back in the 90s, where the Bank of Ghana decided or had an idea to build a whole new place because where they were staying, where their current location has been caught up with development. So the discussion to build a new headquarters started way back. And I mentioned Mr. Ato Forson because he was part of the board that was looking for a parcel of land to buy for this particular purpose when he was there as a board member of Bank of Ghana. To the extent that there was a company or an individual that brought them or showed them a parcel of land near the Achimota Forest. And I'm singling out when he was part of the Bank of Ghana board. And the individual was offering that piece of land for 2.5 million per acre. Dr. Ato Forson was part of the board. So it has been an ongoing conversation, and they committed to buying that 20-acre land at $2.5 million an acre. And their commitment, they were committed, the board actually issued a directive for them to proceed in negotiation.
Did they actually buy though?
So it got to a point they had to pull out. And in pulling out, there was a settlement cost of 1.2 million paid to the individual.
But bottom line, they didn't go ahead with it.
But I'm telling you that it's a financial loss that is occasioned just by the interest. Now, even that is not my focus, right? My interest here is that the conversation to build that headquarters.
But from
hold on.
But from what I understand, the government then actually rejected the idea of buying the land at that time because of the cost involved when it was first moved.
Yeah, and that is not even the first time.
Because he was a government rep on it, he would have led the opposition to the purchase.
No, that's not even the subject matter. The idea is that the conversation of building that precedes this governor, and it started way back in the 90s. And I can go through a chronology of efforts. There have been about 3 different procurement processes to get a land.
But you are actually spending.
Hold on.
So that
but Evans, you should understand this, that there is an understanding by the Bank of Ghana that predates those who are in office now, a commitment to build a new place.
But if that's true, then considering that, I'm just putting it in context, the NDC2 also had their own economic challenges in 2013, 14, 15.
Right.
They could have built that.
Hold on.
If the
that's not a
the plan was there before.
That is not a material point. The material point is that.
But they chose not to.
Hold on. It's not as if they chose not to. They just haven't gotten the land where they want to build it. Right? So had the agreement, the board issued a directive that pursued this 20-acre land near the Achimota Forest, and they took step. Ato Forson was part of that board, and they took step to purchase it. Okay, and part of some due diligence which had happened in the previous procurement processes prevented it from going on. But in this exceptional case with Ato Forson on the board, there was a damage that he had to pay to the person who was offering the land to sell. About $1.2 million was lost to Ghanaians. Now, that is to paint a picture to say that the building of the Bank of Ghana was not something that started yesterday, in which case, 2021, in which case you would say that, why would they, out of the blue, start building Bank of Ghana headquarters?
The question is about if what you're saying is a fact, that it didn't start now. It predated your government. It predated the NDC's last government. Why spend the money now? Why start to 2021 when, especially with that economic condition that we were facing at the time? Why spend it now? Why don't postpone it till later?
But you made a point that in 2015 thereabout, the NDC was in IMF, and the reason they stopped, they couldn't build it, is not because they thought that we had an economic crisis, right? But they didn't get it, they didn't build it because they couldn't resolve the land. And under this administration, I think in 2021 or so, they were able to procure land through a government instrument. So they were not going to pay $50 million for 20 acre
But Richard, this is a simple man in the street question to you. You're saying that you inherited a plan to build.
Yeah.
2021, height of our economic crisis, right? I mean, COVID was telling us everything was going to go haywire into the economy. You're saying to the ordinary person, at that time, when you're coming out of COVID you're about to leave, and COVID was telling you the economy was going to collapse, and you're in crisis, is the right time to spend $250 million
Evans,
on an office building?
Evans, I can't answer that question for you. But the point I was trying...
No, it's a simple question. Was that the right time to do... Consider you inherited the plan.
Listen.
Was that the right time to spend the amount of money on an office block?
I am not the board of Bank of Ghana. If you're asking my personal opinion, I don't think it matters. But I'm trying to illustrate...
So you don't think it matters they're spending $250 million?
I'm saying that if you're asking my personal opinion, I don't think it matters. I am not the board. Whatever informs the decision. But I'm trying to illustrate for you a narrative that gives you an impression of a project that the bank has to undertake that dates back into the 90s, that we need to build a new headquarters for us, which project the Bank of Ghana has been pursuing up until a point. Right? So almost, if you look from the 90s...
Up until the point where
they actually got the land.
But also up until a point where we're facing our worst economic crisis in the generation.
No. See, if you begin to argue along those lines, then you're actually nitpicking. Because really, in 2015, when the NDC had that challenge with the IMF, they were still proceeding with getting the land anyway. The only thing that stopped perhaps them going ahead to build it was how the acquisition of the land didn't go through.
So stay with me. Let's quickly
let me just conclude for you. I just wish that you allow me to flow.
On the building, because that's not the substantive matter. I wanted to clear that.
Just allow me just to flow, because the interruption is too much. The point I am making is that...
On the building?
Yes, on the building, to say that the bank has a project to build.
Yeah, but you've made that point.
That point is significant. That's the only point to make.
Yeah.
For you to understand that, they didn't just wake up yesterday and say, now we have arrived, we want to get a land, we want to build. It's an institutional decision to move. And so that movement, every leadership that came was committed to getting that dream realized. So this Bank of Ghana leadership was pursuing what legacy project or legacy initiative for the bank they inherited, and they pursued it. If any case at all, this government, this governor or this leadership actually succeeded in getting a land for the Bank of Ghana to be able to start the process, which is something that they inherited. Okay. So we need to put it in context. Now, currently, if we look at a situation we're in and we say that it's not acceptable, we should move on, that is contingent upon the present analysis that we'll make. But the question to you is that had we not incurred this 53.1 billion debt, would we be having this